we share our ideas, dreams, values, our discoveries, insights, and expertise. Well, it all comes down to communications. Since the dawn of creation, word of mouth has been the foremost means of communicating. Yet it's images carved on stone that tell us the stories of those many thousands of years later, while their spoken words are lost to the ages. Eventually, writing made sharing and saving possible over great distances. Records of events, contracts, and letters, by the authors or scribes, became the means of communication. And as more people acquired the skills of reading and writing, everyday stories of life and markets and death became available to the masses. Before the printing press was invented, such communication was done by hand, which certainly limited its spread, letting the educated elite get to know what was going on far faster than the working folk. But even the most influential were limited by the distances communications had to travel. Just a few hundred years ago, those who settled this great land were months away from the news of home. Letters exchanged between families traveled by horse and sailing ship and canoe. Mail from home was expensive and usually delivered only once or twice a year. Vital information, such as the death of a parent or a king, was old news before it reached the new land. Many of us still remember the obligatory letter writing to grandparents and compulsory thank you notes after all visits, gifts, and parties. Letters, handwritten, folded neatly into envelopes, stamped and slid into the red post office boxes. Of course, the best part was in being the recipient of letters and invitations and postcards from faraway places. Less than a century ago, phones were becoming available in homes. Then came radio, movies, silent and then voices, black and white and then color, and eventually television intruding into one's household privacy with demands that noon, 6, and 11 were mandatory news viewing times. Family life became centered around the hockey games of Wednesday and Saturday nights, the Ed Sullivan Show on Sunday, and Lorne Greene, the ultimate father figure, on Bonanza. Then came computers and the fax machine and the internet, not just at work, but invading our homes with all their gifts and their issues. And now we have Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We have literally millions and millions of people signing up to be influenced on their tastes in clothes or food or wine or dating. We have hate from the left and hate from the right, raining down on those who share their thoughts or oppose them. And we have the woke folk, the thought police of the 21st century, denying all others the right to opinions or open discussion. For only their way of thinking must prevail, or one must be condemned to hell for thought transgressions. I admit that much of the muckraking about politicians and leaders of our world is greatly enhanced by the news media that we have access to and that glories in exposing the sins of others. In recent months, we've seen a beloved mayor leave office because his sexual transgressions were exposed. The hounds released to track down the whistleblowers who divulged the secrets of the Chinese invasion of our elections. We see the leader of the UK drummed from office and before parliamentary committees for lying about parties during COVID. We hear of an MP discouraging the Chinese from releasing the two Michaels during an election. And we learn of a president of the United States encouraging his followers to break the law again and again. The media then reveals waste at levels unimaginable. $8,000 a night luxury hotel rooms. Contracts that multiply and multiply to friends of folks in high places. Subways and expressways that never seem to get into service. $10,000 a month spent on the upkeep of the PM's vacant and decaying residence. Whatever happened to the idea of government officials spending our money as if it came out of their own pockets? What is it that happens to the decent, honest people who run for office once they get elected? As Christians, there's no escape from our own scandals that have exposed sexual assaults, the abuse of children, boarding in residential schools, and hellish homes for unwed mothers. Where is the progress to the finer world for all that we claim to desire? Was the world always as cruel and exploitative as it now seems to be? Have communications contributed to enhancing lives or reducing them? Well, it seems the answers go both ways. If you don't know the problem, how do you fix it? Is a problem being fixed or created, as the world seems to have abandoned all previous concepts of privacy, as confessions of bad behavior, naked pictures, and sex acts pop up everywhere, with millions of people opting to view them? Yet, we still claim ever-enlarging rights to privacy, while signing on to endless apps that open our lives and our homes to the hacking world. So many contradictions in what we claim to want and what we do. Is it that we need the courage to challenge wrongdoing, or that we seem unable to deny ourselves every whim that catches our fancy? Can't we at least restore some kindness and goodness, good manners to our lines of communications? Can we at least reread what we write before we push send? Can we bite our tongues before we lash out? Or is it that we no longer are truly offended by anything? Anything anyone says or does, including ourselves? Do we accept as the inevitable all we claim to abhor? Or is it we're just too cowardly or lazy to fight for what we believe in? Do we sit back and indulge ourselves as they did in the last days of Rome? Or do we declare that there are values and virtues worth fighting and sacrificing for? Your stand may well determine the future of all we consider to be of worth in this world, but only if you are prepared to stand up for, speak out for, and live for what you know to be true and good. Well, so may it be. Amen. Communications matter when they speak the truth, convey values that make a difference, and protect what is worth living and dying for. But how to go about it?